Today, I'd love to welcome Craig Davis from the Canberra Innovation Network as part of this Business Spotlight interview series. So welcome, Craig.
Hi, Phil. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Now, in terms of the Canberra Innovation Network, can you just explain a little bit about that and then what your role is that you play in that organisation?
So Canberra Innovation Network is sort of what it says on the jar lid. It's Canberra centric. We're a local play. It's about innovation and entrepreneurship and creating the future. And it's a network we're a very small organisation trying to make a difference to very many people.
Fantastic.
By connecting them and activating them and maybe adding just a tiny bit of wisdom here and there.
Yeah. Hopefully. So, Craig, in terms of the network, how long has it been operating for?
Since 2014, since late 2014.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
And what's your role within this?
So my core role is I run the growth programs at the Canberra Innovation Network, which means I've got a very small team of people who are key motivation is to engage local entrepreneurs, business people, and do value add things that help them in their journey. And especially we do that in a way that leverages the help they can get from other sources.
Right.
So we're never their main advisor. We don't have a small portfolio of companies. We engage with everyone in Canberra who's doing anything about innovation, and try to do it in a way that unlocks or catalyzes them to get further value, whether that's via our other mentors, company directors, accountants, business coaches, other expert advisors.
Yes.
That makes sense. And that's also about, a core part of our philosophy, and I suspect you agree with this, Phil, is a big part of the success of those challenging businesses is building the right team. And we define team really broadly. It's not just the executives, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Look, I would entirely endorse that. It's not only the internal team, it's the external team of that network that becomes really, really important. And so, Craig, have you been with the network since its inception?
So when it was originated, I wasn't formally part of the Innovation Network. I was a partner of the Innovation Network in my previous role, which was running an accelerator program called Griffin Accelerator, named after the designer of Canberra, Walter Burley Griffin. And so again, Canberra centric, and we were running an equity-based accelerator, which was really an initiative of local angel investors. We're effectively clubbing together, mentoring intensively, and investing in high potential entrepreneurs that they found. So I sort of, and that's now one of several programs that we run.
Yes.
If that makes sense, it sort of entered the portfolio.
Right. Fantastic. Now, in terms of the ideal, well, I'm not sure how I should term this, whether it's an ideal client or an ideal customer or an ideal prospect, how would you define the ideal people that would be suited to come into your organisation?
Yeah, totally, Phil. And we tend to use words like people rather than client because of the Innovation Network's role. And we're also largely supported by the ACT government. We're an independent not-for-profit.
Okay.
So the behaviours we do are slightly different than the business people we're supporting would do. Right.
Yes.
So when you're a business person, you need to understand your stakeholders, and you certainly need to be very clear who's your customer. But as a community builder, we really don't quite tightly draw that distinction of who's our customer, because really it's who's our stakeholders, and that's the people. Okay, I'll get to the point now. The people we want to engage with is anyone who is doing or aspires to do using innovation, new methods to create something valuable for people to use. Right? Now, that's mostly startup businesses, existing small businesses using innovation, social enterprises using innovation, researchers and scientists commercializing innovation. But then there's 10 other things, like it's just so varied. It's so varied. And I really want to emphasize to your audience that they've all got innovation going on, I promise. And there's much more there than you think. If you're doing something new and you're doing it and you're connecting it to people who can benefit from it, if you're a business person, you're doing so in a way that has a business model around it. Awesome.
Fantastic. It's interesting you say that, Craig, because just the other day I was having a discussion with a group of people about, if you look at the world that we live in today, somewhere back in time, somebody innovated, somebody took a bit of a risk. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all of the life's toys, all the comforts that we actually have available to us today. So, fantastic initiative.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that march of progress, right? And we've benefited from a lot of that progress. And we believe that we're working with the people who are going to create more of that progress in the future. From Canberra, from Australia, is sort of our main focus. Yeah.
So when you look at, I guess, the journey of some of the people that you've been working with, what's been some standout things that you've noticed about, first of all, those people, and maybe even just the entrepreneurial spirit that exists?
Oh, well, there's so many different directions I can take that, because we see so many different things. And there's, what do I see that's really important? Obviously, determination. Nothing's easy in business, and anyone who thinks it's easy or makes it look easy is just really, really good at it, and perhaps a bit lucky. It's not. So that determination piece, and that determination mostly, not always, mostly really starts from some sort of passion about the benefit you can create for people or society or some outcome, and it's perhaps your business audience is really comfortable with this, but when I talk to non-business people, they're often sort of a bit weirded out or surprised how much we sort of talk about purpose and meaning and things like that, because they think it's all about profit and money. And while those things are not unimportant, they're not usually the main value creators. It starts from passion, leadership, caring about outcomes.
Yes.
And so, which is super exciting. And it's probably, now I'm sort of clarifying my thinking as I say it out loud. That's what I really observe through this community, is it's rich in people who take that point of view and think that way in order to create the businesses of the future.
Yeah. And I'd actually add something to that, Craig. It's a desire to make a difference.
Absolutely. Yep. Make a difference, change the world, improve people's lives. There's lots of different ways of formulating this, but business leaders all, or almost all, feel in some way in their heart, they feel that, and then they got to translate that, convey the visions to their team and to the world, and the skill of doing that is something that sometimes people need a bit of assistance with.
Yes.
They've got the feeling, or they got it in their heart, and sometimes you're trying to encourage them to express it better or more powerfully. And sometimes also, by the way, we're encouraging people to actually take that seriously, and they're like, oh, I thought I was supposed to only talk about dollars. It's funny, isn't it?
Look, I find that statement really interesting, because with truly passionate, engaged, entrepreneurial types of people, it's never about the money. The money is the result of the rest of the passion, the rest of the innovation, the rest of the ideas on how they're trying to make that difference. So that's a great point that you've actually made there.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that people don't make lots of money doing this. And in fact, the people who make most money, in my view, are the people who are most passionate about those outcomes. And
generally the ones taking the biggest risks.
Yes, risk and return, they tend to get aligned. Yes, that's true.
So when you think about how you've been involved with these people, what's been something that you have learned about yourself on your journey through this process?
Yeah. The more I learn, the more I build my experience, the more humbler I get.
Yes.
And the more I realize that I don't know the answers. And the more I sort of try to set back my ego and be more listening and learning and curious. Now, I've always been a bit that way, but the more I learn, the more curious I become to learn even more. Does that make sense? And I think there's this weird dichotomy in business and leadership where you do need to have an opinion to be a leader, but you also, on the flip side, need to be quite humble and receptive. And find the right balance. I wouldn't say it's easy for me, and different people engage in that different ways, but that's probably the one I want to bring out, is that sort of curious humbleness idea.
Yep. And look, I think that, they're very important. What's the word I'm looking for here is characteristics that everyone in one way or another actually needs to be considering and adopting. So when you think about your learning, how do you learn best? What's the best way that you find for learning the things that you don't know that you don't know?
So the one thing is learning by doing. I'm a learn by doer thing.
Yep.
I'm a learn by doing things person. So you jump in the deep water and then somehow learn to swim.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, you can get better mileage on that by having people assist you and coach you, or ask them the questions. Before I jump into this water, is there anything you'd suggest? All of that sort of stuff. But and they can all help. But in the end, business and entrepreneurship is not a spectator sport. You've got to get in there and do it, and that's how you really learn. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Absolutely. It's very difficult to go and do a paid course or a university course that's going to teach you exactly how to do all this stuff. Yes, you might get the theory, but then when you get into the practical bit, it doesn't give the theory very much warrant.
Look, a lot of people who are watching this will know how to swim.
Yep.
Can you imagine learning to swim from a textbook only?
Oh,
you just can't do it. You've got to get in the water. And there's this, when the coach says move your arm this way or whatever it is, the theory only helps you a little bit.
Absolutely. I love that analogy, by the way. Is it okay if I steal that one, Craig?
Help yourself, mate.
When you think about the, I guess, seeing these people in action, what would you say the thing is that you notice most about, other than the drive, the passion, the determination? What is the thing that you see them achieving? Or maybe let's flip this on its head. What are the biggest issues that you see them having to overcome?
Look, probably the top number one issue that I see people struggling with is understanding their customers enough.
Yep.
Okay, so now anyone if you're at the startup phase, or when you're doing more disruptive innovation, you're doing something people don't even know about, it's most acute. But across the board, most people in business don't know their customers as well as they could, right? And and I'm not wanting to say, oh, you don't know your customers or something like that to somebody who's a good business person. Great, but that's often where there's real opportunities to really go deeper into really what does my customer need.
Yeah. And what does that actually involve?
How do we do that? I'll give you one tip. I'll just share one tip off the top of my head. One way of understanding what your customers really need is to give them less. If you fully understand your customers' needs, you should be able to give them less and they're still happy.
Yep.
Because you really know what they need. If you think what they need is everything you can possibly do, I think you can sharpen up your understanding of what they really need.
Yeah.
Most times, exceptions to every rule, but that's a little hint. So, maybe if everyone thought to myself, what if I did less for my customers? What would it be that I could do and still make them not just a bit happy, but a lot happy, right? Proper, excited, happy customers. Now, I'm not saying you just literally go out and start doing that, but it's just a thought experiment. Of course, we talk to our customers, we ask them, we listen, and there's a whole art to how you listen to customers to get the most value out of that.
Yes, and I think there's another great analogy here is that we have one mouth and two ears. We should be listening more than we're actually speaking.
If you're talking to a customer and you're talking 90% of the time, I think you're doing it wrong.
Without a doubt. You
should be listening much. And when you're listening and you speak a little bit, you've got time to think, what's the really good question that's really going to help that I can ask that person that's going to bring out much more understanding or insights into them. So I love to be asking questions and listening.
Yeah, that's most important. And another thing which I add into that, what are they saying that they're not saying?
Yes. Yes.
What question can I ask to dig that little bit deeper? What is being said that I'm not hearing?
Yep. What do they sort of feel but don't know how to express?
Mm-hmm.
And what do they not even think about telling you? Because now it's not up to them to figure that out. It's up to you to draw it out of them.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
We've got to see that as our responsibility to draw out the key understanding from our customers or stakeholders. And if we just do simplistically, hey, Phil, what do you want? We won't get that. We've got to go much more on that.
True on that respect, Craig. If you were to be thinking about somebody that was considering, hey, I've got some innovation, I actually need some help, where can I go and get that help? What would be the best advice that you could give somebody that thinks they've got a great idea that they would like to expand on? What would be your best advice?
My top tip on that would be talk to people. Oftentimes, and whether it be peers, other people from the business community, people through your personal networks, people you know and trust, and have the courage to show them a bit of your thinking.
Yep.
A lot of people are a bit secretive about their new ideas, and there's a time and a place for that. But if you don't engage with diverse, different sorts of input, you're probably going to miss something. Now, do I mean go and tell your mates at the barbecue, I've got this great idea, what do you think? They're probably going to, it's either going to be, Craig, you're a genius, or Craig, you're an idiot. I'm after the proper...
not the right time or place.
Correct. It's a business peer or someone who's got relevant experience and you can talk to them. Wherever anyone is in business, there's people around, there's networks, there's organisations. If you're in Canberra, the Canberra Innovation Network, the Canberra Business Chamber, other organisations, there's places you can go and hang around with other like-minded people, and it's more valuable than you think. That's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Is there anything else that you'd like to offer up before we wind up?
Look, I hope, Phil, you're inspiring and assisting people to create the businesses of the future that will make our country, our world, a better place by doing good things for customers who need those things. I think we shouldn't be afraid to charge a fair price for those things. We shouldn't be afraid to set up a profitable business around those things. And I just want to encourage all of that and free your entrepreneurial spirit. Sometimes people are a bit stuck in the day-to-day. That's another thing that happens. Find some time to think bigger. It might only be a small part of your day or your week. Find some time to think bigger. And what could it be, or where can I take it? And just think outside. You're stuck on the day-to-day thing and challenge yourself. And better still, find people you trust and respect to challenge you and have those challenging conversations. And I just can't emphasize enough how valuable that can be to entrepreneurs, is to get diverse advice from different angles. And okay, you decide in the end, you're the business owner, but do something.
Great words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Craig.
Thanks, Phil.
And if you've got an idea, or so to anybody watching this video, if you've got an idea, feel free to reach out to Craig at the Canberra Innovation Network. Thank you so much, Craig.
It's pretty easy to Google. Come on our website, you'll find the info. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye now.